Today is the first day of reopening for many shops after the third lockdown. The flag is at half-mast for the Queen's husband, Prince Philip. I think it's Prince Philip, I can't remember his name, I don't pay much attention to the royal family. He died the other day. Interesting to see how much longer the Queen's got, to be honest. But I'm in Sheffield, it's Monday morning, we're at 9:30 on a Monday morning. I've just been for some grocery shopping, and this is the first time after the 3-month lockdown that non-essential shops will be allowed to reopen. The last few times I've been in Sheffield city centre, first thing in the morning on a Monday, it's been incredibly quiet. In fact, it's been practically deserted, so I'm pleased to see that there are actually quite a few people around today. I think what we'll do is I'll go and have a little wander around the city centre with the camera and see what's happening. First business of note is the Wetherspoons. Quite a lot of people there already, probably having breakfast. Pubs are not allowed to fully reopen. You can't go inside for your food, but you can eat outside. And I gather a lot are doing tents and beer gardens and so on. Another one here that looks like it's preparing to open for people to eat outside. Of course, there's a good chance that John Lewis might not be reopening. Don't know yet whether they will or not, I've not read the paper. Got the obligatory bank queues still. This is Pinston Street, which has been the focus of quite a few of my videos recently in Sheffield. Once was a very busy shopping street. It's now absolutely deserted. Just about everywhere's shut. They've brought the public toilets back though, which I'm sure will be a welcome addition to the city centre for a lot of people. We could even treat ourselves to an ice cream to enjoy in the sunshine. We're just coming down to the Moor in Sheffield, which is one of the more busier shopping streets nowadays. Quite a lot of the shops that used to be in the Fargate area have actually moved up to the Moor. Now I actually thought that Debenhams had gone out of business completely, but it looks like they haven't. In fact, I did actually hear from someone the other day that they may be opening just for one day, just to clear out any excess stock. That's not really surprising, that's the biggest queue I've seen this morning. Queuing all the way around the shop, all the way down to the entrance.
Hey, you!
Yeah?
You have got permission to film kids in that queue.
Well, that's nothing to do with you.
Well, you could be filming pedo. You're filming kids.
Other shops don't have so much queues, although the Moor is definitely a lot busier than the rest of the city centre was. I did wonder if Primark would be busy. After the first lockdown, when shops were allowed to reopen, the Primarks had some enormous queues. I was in Doncaster on that day, and the Primark there had an enormous queue, and I gather some Primarks across the country had people queuing out all night. It's good to see the markets are back as well. Well, there don't seem to be too many people around wearing masks outside, which is pleasing to say, although I just had plenty in a shop that I was in. Well, I think Debenhams is definitely the biggest queue. I do think the mask wearing will continue for some time. It has actually got a little bit busier here on Fargate. I think most of the shops down here are still open these days. It's not all shut down like the Moor has, like Pinston Street has. Well, I admit that that's the most normal that I've seen Sheffield in quite some time, although it's still what you might call very dystopian, what with all the number of people wearing masks and the queuing and all the signs dictating what you can and can't do, but I don't think shopping will be a pleasurable experience for quite some time to come. Well, gyms are also allowed to open today at long last. I've actually missed going to the gym quite a lot over this last year, but I did vow not to go back while they're doing COVID-safe nonsense. You don't really know how much COVID-safe nonsense they're doing. I mean, there's clearly a queue there in the Ponds Forge there, which I won't show on video, but there's no real signs up, although they do say they support the Hidden Disabilities Sunflower Scheme, which as a hidden disabled person is something I'm very much against. So having said that, a lot of businesses do support that, including ones I've just spent a lot of money in. There are signs of life in the gym at least. It's good that the signage at the interchange acknowledges the exemptions on masks, although the majority of people are still wearing masks when I've been on the bus. Of course, the majority of these buses that are coming past are actually very empty. There's a few buses in the interchange, but it doesn't look like there's many people, and not many people actually on the buses. So despite the number of people actually in the city centre, I think most probably walked or came by car or came by bike like I do. I think most people are trying to shun public transport these days. More buses with very few passengers. I'm going to make a guess that the Winter Garden is open again. I'm just wondering if the coffee shop there is open. I'd best not go to it because last time I went in they refused to serve me because I wouldn't pander to politics. I think it looks like they're open. I'm stood outside the Crucible Theatre. I'm in Tudor Square in Sheffield. The Crucible Theatre is of course very well known for the snooker championships, and they are indeed taking place next week. I'm not sure whether they took place last year or not. It might not have because of coronavirus. The significance of the snooker this year is that it's supposed to be one of the first events to trial the vaccine passports, or the so-called COVID passports, or whatever they want to call it. It doesn't really matter what you call it because they're all the same thing. It's the thing that they said that the government was saying we're not going to do. We don't want it. We're never going to do it, so let's do it anyway. If they do pursue it, I can only hope that people will say no. It does look like transport global event contractors have had plenty of work on, so that's some jobs for some people at least. Anyway, I'm off down to Rotherham town centre now and we'll see what the situation's like there. I'm expecting it to be quieter than Sheffield. Sheffield's usually busier than Rotherham. Right, I'm just making a quick stop off at Meadow Hall to see what it looks like here. Last time I was here was in January, I think. It was completely empty. I don't want to spend long here, I want to put the camera away, but I'm just zooming in on next. I think I can see what looks like a queue. Yep, there's people outside eating and enjoying the sunshine for the breakfast or the lunch. In fact, it's coming up to lunchtime now. I'm guessing the Oasis will be shut because, of course, you're not allowed to eat inside. It looks like they're doing a good trade. I'm in Rotherham town centre. It's still nice and sunny. There's a lot of people around. We've even got a police car there. I don't know if they're expecting any trouble. More nonsense. Would you believe it? There's a couple of buses there that even have passengers on them. This is the newly done up bridge gate. Clearly not finished yet, but they're getting there. It's clear that a lot of businesses have chosen to open as early as possible, and I think a lot of customers have chosen to come as early as possible as well. This is definitely the busiest I've seen Rotherham town centre in quite some time. I can't help but think I'm seeing more people wearing masks outside here in Rotherham than I was in Sheffield. We've even got people out trying to sell you electricity. Looks like the coffee shop's doing a decent trade. I often used to like coming here for a cup of coffee when I'm in Rotherham, although I've not been for quite some time due to the so-called pandemic. I see they're still at it with the propaganda. Millions of people in England get ready for lockdown easing. I think everyone's enjoying it. I was talking about Primark earlier. This is certainly one Primark that won't be having a queue. You've got to love the obligatory hand sanitizer on a building site. Now, one thing that I don't think will improve in the near future is the site of the former Howard building of Rotherham College. It's been vandalised and just left. Someone did buy it with the intention of converting it into flats, but there's been no progress with that yet. I think to sum up this video, it's clear that a lot of shops have taken the opportunity to open as early as possible, and customers are clearly taking advantage of that and taking advantage of the sunshine to go out for some lunch and some breakfast and a cup of coffee. It's difficult to know what to make of it, really. I mean, I'm pleased to see that the restrictions are finally being eased, but they're still doing all the masks and the social distancing and all that nonsense. I don't think it'll be better until we've got rid of all that. And the way things are heading, I don't think we will, at least not for some time. I honestly wouldn't be surprised to see more lockdowns in the near future. This was the third one. We were supposed to have one last summer to flatten the curve, as they said. We're now onto the third lockdown. The third lockdown was supposed to be a few weeks as punishment for Christmas, and of course it lasted 3 months. So will this be the end of it? Who knows? I certainly don't. I mean, I certainly wouldn't be surprised if they find a new variant that's even more deadly and even more infectious than the last one and cancel everything once again.